Some of us think too much, we never slow down. I myself am victim to overthinking way too much, mainly about the future and the best way to get there. In my head there's so much I want to do. So many ideas, hopes, plans. This YouTube channel, for example. I had been deliberating for many years and I always found a reason just to bail out. Anyways, back to topic. I'd almost overthink every action, and my problem was that I was never really truly switched off, and it's something that I'm still working on. But over the years I've developed techniques on how to reduce it.
Overthinking can be destructive and mentally draining. It can make you feel like you're stuck in one place and can be a drain in your day-to-day life. And extreme overthinking can sap you from your sense of control. The average person has around 60 to 80,000 thoughts per day, 80% of them being negative and 95% of them being repetitive. And that 80% of those negative thought processes is probably the root cause of all your negative thinking. Overthinking happens when that inner voice provides a monologue that runs throughout the day and even into the night. Overthinking can take many forms: endless deliberating and decision making and questioning your decision, attempting to read minds, trying to produce the future, etc, etc. We sometimes worry when we don't know how to deal with a problem, and we worry. Whether you're worrying about something that's happened right now, or something that's in the future, or something that's actually happened in the past. While there is a percentage of us that think every now and again, there are many of us that can't switch off. We can't snap out of it. There are many of us that are chronic overthinkers. Research has shown that if you're an overthinker, it can actually be more difficult to solve problems. And it has been linked to issues such as anxiety. But how do you free yourself from this intense thought spiral? First of all, let's look at the definition of overthinking. The process of constantly analysing and anguishing over one's thoughts. It may include rumination, in which individuals is stuck in mentally rehearsing their past or present decisions or actions. Undoubtedly, this is a waste of time, not to mention unhealthy. So why do we do it? Psychologist Susan Nolan Hakisema, PhD, says our brains are truly wired to overthink. All of our memories, thoughts, emotions stored in our brains are woven together in different networks of connections. When you're in a bad mood or some type of depression, anxious, just altogether upset, your bad mood tends to trigger a cascade of thoughts associated with your mood. Have you ever wondered why we tend to be impacted much more by negative impacts rather than positive ones? That's a negative bias coming into action. This negative bias can affect how we think, feel, act, and it can really have some less than desirable effects on our psychological state. So I'll just get the definition here. The negative bias refers to our tendency to learn from our use from negative information far more than positive information. And I think this is very much true, as negative events elicit far more much of a response than positive ones. It explains why we remember bad situations of customer service more so than positive ones. It explains why negative news articles appear more dominant in the media. Due to the negative bias, we pay more attention. This also made me think how the environment and how the social norms affect our behaviour. People and institutions are constantly trying to get our attention. The news media draw attention to the past, reminding us of negative situations. And advertising draws our attention to the future, reminding us of things of what we don't have, things of what we need to buy. Anyway, I digress. Let's get back onto topic. Even if you experience numerous good events in one day, the negativity bias will cause you to concentrate on that one sole aspect. It can lead us to focus on small things and worry over having made a bad impression or linger on the negative. So the negativity bias is thought to be an adaptive, evolutionary function. Thousands of years ago, our ancestors were exposed to the environmental threats that we no longer need to worry about. Predators, for example, and being more attentive to these negative stimuli. It played a useful role in our survival. So to loop back onto psychologist Susan Nolan Hakisema's point, we are all wired to be negative. While the negative bias is not 100% useful in modern day life, it still can be helpful in certain circumstances. But as we grow and society develops, this hardwired tendency is not useful as it once was. So how can we change? My first tip is to try and live in the moment. In today's busy world, it can be a challenge to live in the moment. There are so many outside influences that we need to take into account. If you spend the present moment worrying about the future, you're robbing yourself of time that you could be spending right now. Happy and vibrant people are usually immersed in the right now, and they are totally absorbed in what they're doing. So live in the moment. Pay attention when someone's talking to you. Eat slowly. Savour every moment. Take some time to acknowledge your surroundings. Lately, I've been going for walks and I've just been enjoying my surroundings. I've been listening to the wind, feeling the sun on my skin, and generally just having an appreciation of what I have. My second tip is to focus on solutions rather than problems. So people often confuse overthinking with problem solving. But what ends up happening is that you just end up going in a loop and you're not actually really solving anything at all. When you start to focus on solutions rather than problems, you can actually have a baseline where you can actually start to work from. My next tip is to do something that is calming. If you have a busy life, all your activities will overstimulate your mind and it will be seemingly impossible to slow down. And an agitated mind maybe want to go in two places at the same time. And as your mind is racing so fast, you cannot actually see a clear direction. So whether you choose to listen to music or meditate, block some time out to take a moment of calm. Sometimes a wandering mind can actually be productive. It may be the place where you actually get your ideas, or if you're in a creative space, think of creative solutions. And it will allow you to take time to explore the possibilities. So those are my 3 tips in order to help you to stop overthinking. If you've gained anything from this video, I'd really appreciate it if you'd like that button. And if you want to see more videos like this, please subscribe, and I'll see you guys in another.